I was smoking marijuana like it was cigarettes at the time. And that was just to cover the fact that my eyes are red and that I'm doing way more drugs than just weed. But if anyone asks, like, Kira, what are you on? Like, oh, it's just weed. Don't worry.
So pills?
Not really pills.
Okay.
More cocaine, hallucinogenics. I would tell my parents that, like, oh, I'm going to field hockey practice and I'm on my way to Detroit to sit in a trap house in my Catholic school uniform.
Wow, yeah.
And get my fixing and go back.
Good advertising for Catholic school.
Oh gosh, guys, don't do it. I thought it was normal.
And that's what you thought coping was with how you felt?
Yeah. Seeing like the Netflix original movies of like college kids doing cocaine, I'm like, oh yeah, everyone does this. Like, it's no big deal. I'm just starting a little early.
Green lights and blue skies are on their way. Yeah, they're on their way.
Welcome to Crosstalk. My name is Irene. I'm coming to you from South Florida, and we are the #1 recovery podcast for people, you know, sharing their hope and telling their stories of how they got to where they are today. And today my guest, his name is Kira, and we're so happy to have her. I've known Kira now for 2 years, and when I tell you I literally like tire tracks went in the street when I stopped and saw her a couple months ago because of how amazing she's doing, and she's had such an incredible transformation, and you help so many women. So thank you for coming today.
Oh my gosh, that was so sweet. How am I going to live up to this?
Well, actually, it's completely true. So, you know, it's what you're doing. It's you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That means yourself. The world coming from you. Because when I first met you, I thought you were like this god of like sobriety.
Meanwhile,
I'm like, she has a dog and a car. I'll never have that.
Right. But you do.
I do.
Yeah.
I have like 40 dogs.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about how you grew up, like what happens, and what it looks like today, and you could share like all the beautiful blessings you have today. But first, you know, tell us how it all started for you.
I grew up in Michigan, Bloomfield Hills, with my 2 older sisters, both my parents. Happy family on the outside. Yeah. On the inside, I was very lonely and depressed. I went to all private Catholic schools my entire life. In middle school, like 7th and 8th grade was, well, more in 5th grade was when I started like self-harming, getting into my eating disorder just to find some control of my life. And I kind of figured that out was when I was diagnosed with ADHD. So already I was like not in control of my studies. Everyone's like getting A's on like social studies, and I'm like, why are we talking about George Washington? Like, who is this dude?
Yeah.
And I met one of my best friends till today in 5th grade. And that's the night I first had my sip of alcohol. We took her dad's wine shooters, we drank, we threw up our guts. And then the next day I walk into my 5th grade classroom, I'm sitting next to this girl and I'm like, have you ever gotten drunk? And she's like, no. And I'm like, oh yeah, me neither. That would be so weird. And that's kind of when I was like, I'm in love. I am in love. And with that, I started losing friends. I didn't really start like drinking because I couldn't find the liquor cabinet at first.
Okay.
But I saw my sisters who are like in high school in 8th grade going out, going to concerts, like getting drunk, and then the next morning my parents know and they're like, clean the gutters, and then that's it.
Right.
So when I would drink,
I was like, no consequences.
Yeah, I would drink and they're like, Kira, you're 12.
Right.
They're like, why are you getting drunk? And I'm like, everyone's doing it. Times have changed. Gen Z, you know? Right. And
did they believe you?
They were just kind of like, what is going on? Maybe she just fell into like the wrong crowd.
Right.
And then I didn't have a crowd at that time. And then like vapes became a thing, the Juul, marijuana, and I was just kind of like, okay, great, I'm gonna keep trying this. Because like in the TV shows I'd watch, like Wizards of Waverly Place, like Selena Gomez, who would play it, She was kind of like the bad kid.
Yeah.
But she was like cool in school. So, I love that. And that's what I tried to be.
Right.
By first starting by my appearance, wearing like black leggings under jean skirts, to trying to be like, oh, I have a vape. Do you want to hit it? Like, all the cool kids are doing this. And that escalated very quickly for me. Because there's drug dealers all around who are dealing vapes, alcohol, all this stuff. So I kind of like treated it as a game where it's like I'd get vapes from one drug dealer and then I'm like trying to get weed. So they're like, okay, go to this guy. So I was like boss level. Like I'm now getting like drugs. That's how I thought of it.
Right. Because they make it really cool.
Yeah.
And as I was growing up, the same thing. They,
on social media.
Yeah.
And I started high school, which was actually very hard to get in because I had such bad grades that I need to have like an entrance interview with the high school that everyone goes to. It's a private all-girl Catholic school. I get in. It's my first day. Both my sisters went there. And I have absolutely no friends. All the girls I went to middle school with, none. So I'm just kind of like, okay, like, don't really know what's going on.
Did they estrange from you because you were doing kind of like the vaping, the drugs,
I think so.
and everything? Okay, so did you make that connection then, or do you make that connection now?
Now.
Okay.
Because I'm like, let's go out and party, and they're like, let's get ready for our soccer game.
Yeah.
type of thing.
Wow, okay.
And I grew up in a beautiful town, and there aren't a lot of drugs in that town. There's like underage drinking at like family parties and like some high school parties, but nothing to my extent.
Yeah.
And luckily I only lived, or unfortunately I lived 30 minutes from Detroit. So it wasn't hard to access drugs, but it was very unknown in my city.
Right.
And I get into high school. There's a brother all-boys school like right next door. And that's kind of where like all the dealers were, where you could find like, oh, like my friend's older brother type of thing.
Right.
And that's when it all went downhill. I started all of like my hallucinogenics, cocaine, and then I was like, I need more. I started failing classes. I was taking algebra twice, social studies twice. I was getting bullied because I'm doing drugs and eating one bag of chips in the high school bathroom. And everyone's like, what is wrong with her? Where my parents are trying to get involved, like, why is she not being invited to parties? Why is she not going out? I was home with my parents alone Saturdays, like on the weekends, and it was just really sad.
Yeah.
And then I transferred schools.
Did you feel sad then? Like, did you feel lonely? Like, what were the feelings you were having?
I was so miserable. I wanted to kick my own bucket. Right. I was doing everything. I thought I was dumb, worthless. My parents would get mad at me. I was getting in trouble with the authorities. Rumors spread all along the city. And it was just a really bad time for my family because they were very much like, hey, like, what do you want to do with your life? And I'm like, I don't know, just like make it through another day was kind of what I was going for.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just trying not to take my own life today.
Wow.
And thank goodness for my higher power, because I tried more times than I can even count to kick my own bucket.
Wow.
And it never worked.
I'm so happy you're sharing this, and I advocate and I donate a lot to suicide prevention because I've lost so many friends to that. It's gonna like bring me tears actually, and so I'm so happy that didn't work, and I know you today, but I'm happy you're sharing about it as well, because what my hope is that people will see this, and if they are in the same situation, know that they can come out of like the depths of that darkness.
Of course. There's always another path.
Thank you for sharing.
That path is not being lighted up by light bulbs at the time. Because you're just set on one thing of like, what is the only option to get out of my scenario, which is just ending it all.
Yeah.
And that's where I really struggled. And I transferred to another all-girl private Catholic school, which was a lot smaller. My class was about like 25 people.
Okay.
And I didn't have friends. They were just like groups of people who had the same interests.
So question, was this school for girls who had issues? No, so you weren't like, okay, now okay.
It was just a regular high school. It was just more, maybe a little bit more exclusive.
Okay. That
so
sounds fancy.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was a very beautiful school. I couldn't play sports since I was a transfer student. You have to wait, I think, a year to be put back into sports.
That's so weird.
At least for that high school.
Wow.
So I was pretty alone, but I knew a couple girls that went there, and they would drink on the weekends, sometimes smoke, and I was like, okay, I found my crew.
Yeah.
Because there were just like groups of people, like the girls who like to go into theater. They hung out with each other. The girls who liked to play sports, which was kind of more my group, and it was great. I thought I had friends.
But you weren't allowed to play sports, so you had to find a new group.
I was still with the group, just kind of like we all knew of each other, so that's why I got to hang out with them. But I was still always alone. I still ate. We were allowed to DoorDash our lunches, and I would DoorDash Chick-fil-A every day because that was just my comfort food. And they would like look over the bathroom stall and be like, why are you eating this alone? I was so ashamed to tell people that I ate food.
Wow.
But I would just eat alone in the bathroom.
So that's what your eating disorder looked like?
Yeah.
Can you explain to people like that eating disorders may not look like just...
Of course.
Bulimia and anorexia, and it could look like something like eating alone or eating the same thing every day, or...
I was addicted to everything. Even in my childhood, I would go through phases where I'd eat Frosted Flakes every day for months, and then one day I'd be like, I want Cocoa Puffs.
Right. It's a hyperfixation.
Yeah, that's all it was. And most days, since I was still on my ADHD medication, if I ate one meal a day, that was a success for me. But I didn't get very far into purging, I should say. I just wouldn't eat.
Right.
And when I would eat, I would get like the Chick-fil-A like 8-piece large fry meal. That's my go-to, and it still is.
Yeah.
And I would eat maybe like 3 nuggets, and then I'd throw it away.
Right.
And even if I did eat one fry, I'm doing it in isolation.
Did that make you feel any sort of way? I know that when I've battled with an eating disorder, I felt powerful when I
felt weak.
Control my eating.
I felt very weak.
Okay.
Physically, mentally, and emotionally.
Okay.
Because when they would see me eat, I was so embarrassed.
Right.
I was like, oh my gosh, I don't eat, thinking it's strong of me.
Right.
And then I would look at my body and I would be very thin, and I would still hate myself. Because social media, I didn't have the boobs or the butt or the curves, which I got.
Right.
I hit puberty like 2 years ago when I was in treatment.
And that's so funny. But, it's funny because I think that, people think it's about the food and people think it's about the behaviors, which it is about the behaviors, but it's all like you fix that stuff. It's an inside job. You can't fix that stuff with material things. You can't fix that stuff with eating again or any of that. Mm-hmm. It's actually like an inside job, which includes eating again. But if you don't work on your insides, you're still going to hate your body, no matter if it's thin or fat or bigger or whatever.
Some days I would order Chick-fil-A just so people knew I had food, just to throw it away.
Wow.
And I would eat about one full meal a week because my body was like breaking down without it.
And you had to.
Yeah, and I think when I would order food and eat it at school, it was just another way to isolate.
So were you still acting out with alcohol and marijuana and stuff? Okay.
I was smoking marijuana like it was cigarettes at the time. And that was just to cover the fact that my eyes are red and that I'm doing way more drugs than just weed. But if anyone asks, like, Kira, what are you on? Like, oh, it's just weed. Don't worry.
So pills?
Not really pills.
Okay.
more cocaine, hallucinogenics.
And how were you finding that if you were in boarding school?
It wasn't boarding school.
Not that I want to teach anyone how to find.
It was not boarding school. I still went home. I would tell my parents that, like, oh, I'm going to field hockey practice and I'm on my way to Detroit to sit in a trap house in my Catholic school uniform.
Wow, yeah.
And get my fixing and go back.
Good advertising for Catholic school.
Oh gosh, guys, don't do it.
Yeah. But at the time, that's what you thought was like, you know.
I thought it was normal.
And that's what you thought coping was with how you felt.
Yeah. Seeing like the Netflix original movies of like college kids doing cocaine, I'm like, oh yeah, everyone does this.
Right.
Like, it's no big deal. I'm just starting a little early. And then I started applying for college, which wasn't great. I got a good score on my ACT.
Okay.
But my grades weren't phenomenal.
I don't even remember what an ACT is.
I can't even tell you.
Okay.
It's all the subjects.
I only remember SAT.
Oh, I didn't do SAT.
Okay.
We only did, well, at my school, everyone took the ACT.
Okay.
I took the ACT. I got a good score, so that was great. And everyone's applying to, like, Notre Dame, University of Michigan, and I'm like, do you guys get good grades?
Right.
And there's a stigma in my city of, like, everybody has to go to college.
Right.
No one does gap years. No one is just like, I don't want to go to college. So I was like, I guess this is my next step. I applied to about 20 schools.
Did you focus on party schools? Like, what was your focus?
I wasn't allowed to apply to party schools. My parents are like, she's going to die. And plus, I wouldn't get in. I was not about to get into a party school. They would see my GPA and be like, no, next.
Okay.
So I applied to Butler University, John Carroll University. I had to stay in kind of like a 7-hour driving range.
And these are community schools?
No, they're mostly private schools.
Oh, they are. Okay.
And Butler is the school I went to. They denied me 3 times, but I emailed them 11 times until they let me in.
Right.
Because I really like their mascot. It's a bulldog.
Okay.
I thought it was really cute, and I look good in the color blue.
Okay.
So I was like, perfect. It's perfect. I'm going to Butler. Go
That's
Bulldogs.
So funny. I went to FIT because I was like, I like fashion. They let me in, and I could live in New York City.
And I'm out of the state of Michigan.
Yeah.
We're good. We're good to go.
Yeah.
Instantly got there. God bless my roommates in college. I feel so bad for them that they had to put up with me. I got there, instantly spent all my money. And Butler isn't a party school. So everyone, I'm like, okay, let's go out. Let's go to the club. And they're like, Kira, it's Tuesday at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Tuesday sounds right to me.
Yeah, I'm like, club goes up on a Tuesday. Let's listen to the song. Like, I don't understand. They're like, Kira, we're taking finals. And I'm like, or they're like, it's the first day of class. And I'm like, everyone skips the first day of class. That's crazy.
Where are you getting this from?
My own mind. I'm terrified of myself, but it made sense to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're not going to get assignments on the first day.
So you're just justifying and rationalizing your behavior.
Course. And at that point, I was so lonely, but I couldn't even connect to my emotions. Oh, a huge thing. I'm on probation at this time in college. Sorry for the editing.
So we gloss over. No, this is not going to get edited. Trust me. We gloss over what happened.
I was 18. COVID hit.
Oh, okay.
I forgot about COVID. I graduated in 2020 of high school. God willing, I graduated. COVID hit. My parents were like, very like, don't go out. And then flip switch, and they're like, I don't even know. But they let me go out. I went to this party, and I was so scared of telling my parents that I'm drunk, can you come pick me up, that I get in my car. And I got pulled over for not drunk driving, I was speeding. I was in a neighborhood trying to get home by curfew.
So
I made a huge mistake. And unfortunately, I got pulled over. I was drunk. They know that. I know that. I don't have a DUI. I was arrested for a DWI. So driving with driving.
While intoxicated.
Thank you. And it's off my record because I was on probation all the way through my treatment. Because when I got to college, I was doing the drug tests. I was just failing all of them. I tried the detoxing things.
There were no consequences? I'm like so surprised that they're drug testing you, you're failing, but then there's no consequence?
I had to wait for the court dates for them to acknowledge everything.
Oh, and it's COVID.
Mm-hmm, so it's on Zoom.
So there's no court. Yeah, and there's like back, everyone's backed up.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I went to college. I'm on probation. I'm still drinking. I'm still using. Butler, when you leave the Butler campus, you can get into a very sketchy part of town. Mm-hmm. So I was like, perfect. I parked on the side of the street and found my new best friend.
Right.
So I was like, great. But I blew through my money instantly. And that's when I got on a website to find a man to pay for my lifestyle.
Okay.
And that quickly turned into escorting. So I was doing that. I was leaving Indiana. I was going everywhere. And that led to a lot of trauma, a lot of assault.
Yeah.
But I was like, everything's okay. I don't have feelings. I could not find emotions.
You were probably disassociating yourself.
Every other day I was waking up hoping I wouldn't wake up. And every time I would grab the bottle, grab the bag, and get right back to it. It got so bad that I was taking those little water bottles, filling it with vodka and going to class. Mm. And I'm just sitting in the back of the class drinking. It was horrible. And second semester came around in college. I'm so sorry, Butler. I faked a concussion to get out of finals, and they still expected me to do finals.
How did you fake a concussion? I'm so curious because I was always out sick from school too.
I don't even remember.
And I don't know my excuses, but they knew I was making excuses.
I don't even remember.
Yeah.
I went to the nurse. I did everything. I was in PT for it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It was horrible. And the story of why I got a concussion, I was on a run, which I don't run. I was on a run and I fell backwards. I slipped on a banana peel.
Right.
And I fell backwards and I hit my head.
Cartoon.
Yeah. But it made sense to me.
Yeah.
And I never did them. So Butler asked me not to come back. And I was like, you know what? I get it. I can't even argue with you.
Did you tell your parents?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
My parents knew about all of it.
How'd they react?
They didn't even know what to say. And honestly, if they said anything to me, I don't remember. Right. I was so out of it. That's when my drug use went all the way to the worst things you could imagine. I was using meth, crack, cocaine, anything. Anything you put in front of me, I was a trash can for drugs.
Right.
And I was at home for the summer. I was a waitress. I was doing my thing.
Yeah. And
I was like, oh, I'm going back to Butler because I totally forgot they kicked me out. And they're like, no, you're not. So I enrolled in community college. I was like, okay, I'll get some good grades here, and then I'll just go back to my lifestyle because I was happy. What I thought, I wasn't happy. I just didn't want to kill myself.
So you didn't know any better. So that to you, compared to wanting to kill yourself, was happy.
Yep. And through this whole time, my parents were looking for treatment centers to send me before I even went to college. And we went to go see a Halloween movie, all as one big happy family. And I think it was Halloween, the Michael Myers movie. Mm-hmm. I think so. The new one. And silly me, I get my little Slurpee. I'm like, oh, I'm going to go to the bathroom as I bring my big Slurpee with me. And I'm pouring alcohol in that Slurpee. I get back, I sit in my seat. I'm blasted. And I'm sitting next to my mom. She's like, hand me your drink. And I was like, oh. She sipped it.
Well, not oh no, because it brought you here today, but oh no. She
sipped it, didn't notice anything. And I was like, oh, good. We're good to go.
What?
I ask her to this day, and I don't know how she didn't notice. So I drank it all. I was good. And then about a couple days, we saw it on the 14th, and on the 22nd, my dad woke me up at 7 a.m. He's like, let's go look at apartments, because I
wonder if she just didn't tell you that she noticed.
I have no idea.
Okay.
She's a mysterious lady. I love her.
Okay.
She's the best. She's a queen. And my dad woke me up. He's like, let's go get donuts. Let's look at apartments that you can invest in. I was like, okay, great. We come back home, and there's this blonde lady standing in my living room. And, like, my mom's best friend, my uncle, my aunt. And I'm like, what's going on here? I'm thinking maybe they're talking about, like, COVID. I don't know. Politics, maybe. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to go to my room. They're like, sit down. They all take out these, like, letters. I'm like...
Impact letters.
I'm like, this is so weird. I'm like, what are you guys doing?
Maybe explain to people so they know what this really is.
It was an intervention. The interventionist, she's great. I love her. She lives in Miami. She's perfect.
I love my interventionist, too.
She's so sweet. She did the whole thing, and my parents hired her, and we sat in a circle, and they read letters about how my use impacted them, and I'm like, whoa, you're making this sound like I have a problem. I don't have a problem. You have a problem.
Of course.
And the interventionist made it really clear to me that if I say anything that I want to hurt myself, she will call the cops. And I'm like, whatever. I'm a liar, you're a liar, everyone's a liar. Lying was honestly my first addiction. I was lying about everything.
Wow.
And
it's amazing that you could see it that way.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't. A lot of people...
I still lie.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we're human beings.
Yeah.
No one says that just because you get sober, you're perfect. And that
Very
would be
far
terrible
from it.
because we can't be perfect. But, you know, you have come a long way. And I think that's the real message here, you know?
It's...
So tell me, what did so people read their letters to you. How did you react?
I was so pissed. I ran up to my room. I opened the door. There's a suitcase. So I open that suitcase. I'm throwing everything around. I'm unpacking. And I'm screaming at everyone. I'm getting on my phone. I'm like texting my boyfriend at the time. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And my dad takes my phone. I whip out the laptop. I'm texting on the laptop. Takes the laptop. And I was so mad. I didn't even know how to express the emotions I was feeling. This is huge for me. I hit my dad.
Wow.
Not hard, but he was going down the stairs. I reach over the railing and I like did like a slap on his shoulder because I'm just like, I had so many emotions. I didn't even know what to do.
But it wasn't strong enough to like push him down the stairs or anything like crazy.
I could
like
never.
That.
I adore that man.
No, right. But you were just acting out.
I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And in the letter, they're like, you either go to treatment or you get kicked out of the house. And I was like, kick me out. So I was trying to text one of my friends to stay at their house. But he took the phone. So I was like, I don't know what to do. And obviously when I have any type of... I
don't think he was going to give you your phone back.
No, when I have any type of issue, the solution's always, I'm going to take my own life. So I had this like chain necklace on and I tried, and my sister's in the room, and I said, I will never forget this. I look her in the eyes and I'm like, do you really think I won't do this in front of you? Never in my life would I have thought I would say that to my sister.
Yeah.
And the cops showed up to my room.
Is it called a Baker Act there?
Yep, I got Baker Acted.
Okay.
And they're like, do you want to go to this one or this one?
Oh, they gave you choices?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was like,
never heard about that.
And I was like, let me grab my shoes. So I'm screaming. I'm like crying. I'm like, I hate you all. And then I jump in the ambulance and I'm like, so how are you guys doing?
Wow.
Like flipping a switch. And that's when I realized I'm like, I'm crazy. I can be crazy if I want to be crazy. Yeah. Then I was like, boom, new manipulation tactic. And that's how messed up I was thinking, oh, another way I can get to control other people. So I go to the hospital and I'm Baker Acted. And I was like, okay, whatever. I was there for about 10 days.
Okay.
And my family, they visited me, which was crazy that they had so much love in their heart that they could put everything I've said past them just to make sure I'm okay. And 10 days later, I get out and I'm on a flight to Florida.
I know where you're going.
Oh, I get there and my dad drives me to the place, my treatment center, the little umbrella I stand under.
Yeah.
And I'm doing the intake. My dad already left at that point, which I did make a bet with my dad on the airplane. Well, on the flight down, I kept telling him, I'm like, I'm going to drink when I turn 21. And he's like, oh my gosh, someone help her. Like, what are we going to do?
He's like, let's just get through today.
Yes.
We'll talk about when you're 21.
But I said, if I graduate this treatment center, he has to go skydiving with me. And he agreed. And we haven't done it yet, but I'm holding him to it. So Dad, if you're watching, we're going skydiving.
You got to do it.
Yes, it's a must. Skydiving's so much fun.
I mean, it's so incredible, and I'm so happy that you agreed to do this because we're going to listen and hear about everything, but just the fact that you are 20 and you're about to embark on, you know, on sobriety, on recovery, and like how I went through it till I was 34, you know, that was my intervention day. And I never thought if I was in my 20s, I would be able to do that. And now I know people your age, and I'm friends with people your age, because in recovery, there's like no age. It doesn't matter. We're all friends. Like
numbers don't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's crazy because we all have a common thread. And the common thread is that we've dragged ourselves through a gutter. We've felt like, you know, bottom, and whether or not some people want to take their own lives, some people don't care whether they live or die, whatever that looks like, you know, we've gone to the depths of darkness and back, and now you're about to like open the door and kind of see the light.
Not yet.
Well, right.
Not yet.
We're hoping. Sometimes
it was a really long journey, and to my treatment center, I'm so thankful.
They know. Trust me, I know they know.
And I get there, I'm doing the intake, I'm lying on everything on that intake. They're like, have you done this? And I'm like, no. Because I'm trying to make it seem like I don't have a problem. They're like, how often do you drink? And I'm like, only on the weekends. Only on days that end with Y was when I would drink. So I get in and they put me in quarantine for 24 hours.
Oh, because of COVID, that's right.
Next day I'm on the vans. I'm on those white vans you see driving around.
So when is this? So you're 20?
I'm 19.
Oh wow, you're 19.
It's November 2nd.
And you're already talking about being 21, okay. It's November 2nd.
Yep.
Of what year?
2021.
2021, okay.
10 days into treatment is when I turned 20.
Oh.
Yeah. My
Sagittarius?
Scorpio,
okay. So you're about to celebrate your birthday in treatment?
Yes. My therapist made me throw myself a party, and he like gave me extra money to go to the grocery store. I bought like a cookie cake because I love cookie cake. But I was miserable. There was, a couple days before my birthday, and on my birthday, I tried to take my own life once again. And then
Did you get Baker acted?
No.
Okay.
Because I went to the little office they had and
told on yourself.
Yeah, I told. And then we were eating the cookie cake, and this guy with a guitar comes up to me, and he's like, I want to sing you a song. Oh. And I just started crying because there was a song, it's like, I think it was Beautiful Girls, and he just starts singing. He's like, you have me suicidal. And I just start crying because I hated myself so much. And I'm like, this is a sign from God to take my own life. And once again, I tried, did not work. And once I got into treatment, I was defiant from the moment I got there.
I can relate to that.
They gave me like the handbook of rules, and I started crossing out each rule I've broken, trying to get through the whole list to get kicked out and return to my old life.
Oh, wow. You had a plan.
Oh, yes. I had plan A through Z, and they all failed.
Right.
I saw the first guy I saw, I was like, okay, you're my new boyfriend. I'm going to tell you what to do. You're the love of my life. Gets drunk.
Did it work?
No. Well, yeah, it did work until he got drunk 5 times in treatment and got kicked out. So I was like...
He got drunk?
Yes.
Oh, God. So he was healthy.
Yes. Definitely. Not toxic at all. My therapist, great therapist. I just didn't like him because he would call me on my, BS. And
right.
I was like, you're being really rude right now. It's like, how dare you?
You're speaking truth.
Yeah, literally. I was like, that didn't happen. All the girls, they try to be my friends. And I was like, ew, gross. You're, asking me how I'm feeling. And I'm feeling miserable. And they're like, well, let's talk about it. And I'm like, I don't want to talk to you.
Right.
I'm not like you guys. You guys are gross, dirty addicts. And I am not one of those.
Yeah, okay.
Treatment, it was supposed to be 84 days, so 3 months. I was there for about 8 months.
Yeah, the place we went to is never 84 days.
No, 84 to life.
That's what we say.
I went to groups. I tried to fly under the radar.
Oh yeah, you
but
can't
I was
do that.
very in the spotlight all the time. So
Because they know.
Yeah.
You know, we think
And
we're
plus-
so smart that we can get away with stuff, and they're like, we've seen 150 girls like you or more, like in the past month. So you know, this isn't going to work.
Yeah, and plus I was doing things that would put me in the spotlight. When I first got there, I tried to wear skimpy outfits to get attention.
Yeah.
And then I would throw these huge sweatpants and
I
baggy
remember you.
stuff
So the
on.
phase I met you in was this sweatpants and
Yep.
sweatshirt, and I'll never forget. And I almost I think I thought, why doesn't she call me to take her out on pass?
I wasn't vaccinated, so I wasn't allowed to.
Oh, okay.
Until later in
That's
my treatment.
ridiculous.
And plus, I wouldn't have anyways, if I'm being completely honest.
Right, exactly.
You seemed healthy, and I was like, ew.
Yeah. Usually the girls who want to stay sick and suffering, they don't call me.
No.
The ones that want to get better usually call me.
I went out with
But I get upset. I want the girls that are sick and suffering to call me. I'm like, I want to help you.
That's my issue is I think I'm God some days. Well, not some days. It lasts about 30 seconds.
Okay.
My sponsor calls me Captain Save-A-Ho because she thinks that... We'll get into that.
Because you're where I was, which is you want to help as many girls as possible.
There's a difference between help and save.
Right.
I need to help you. I can't save you.
Exactly. Exactly.
Through treatment, I broke all the rules. My therapist dropped me from his caseload, got put on another caseload, and then I got on job search 3 different times because I kept breaking the rules, getting off a job search, taking my phone, all of the sorts.
Yeah.
And they recommended me to leave. So I didn't exactly graduate or get kicked out. They recommended me to leave. I got kicked out. We'll put it there.
Same.
So I go to my little halfway house.
Same, and guess what? We're their most valued alumni, by the way. I got kicked out by the woman who helped get my scholarship, and pretty much what, and her husband had taken me under his umbrella and did some therapy with me and worked on some things with me. And she goes, I'm kicking you out because this is what you need. You are not trusting the process. But call me in a month. Yep. And if you've stayed sober, I'll consider you putting you back into therapy with us. And I was like, okay.
I'm never going to call you again.
And then I cried for hours.
Of course.
And then I called my parents, but they already got to them first. And so my parents were like, we're so disappointed in you. And I was like, I'm fine. I'm sober. What are you talking about? Anyway, not my story time. So so your story time.
I got a job at Nordstrom. I quit after 3 weeks after some lady made me cry. She insinuated that I was fat, so I quit. I cried. No, a customer.
Oh my God. I was not expecting you to say that. I'm appalled.
I was working, and
what is wrong with people?
It was like my second week, and this was the first day I brought lunch for myself. The first day. I'm wearing this bodysuit and jeans, and she's like, hey, I need jeans like about your size, and I'm like, cool. Pull some jeans, put her in a fitting, I put it on the fitting room. I'm like, okay, you're in fitting room like 1. And she's like, oh no, they're not for me. They're for my daughter. You get it. You guys are both like bigger girls. I'm like ringing her up for these jeans, and I'm like, your total is $74.86.
Like, especially someone who's been hiding, eating from people, and, you know, all that stuff. You know, people, I think, just to be forgiving, you know, people don't realize sometimes what they're saying is hurtful, you know?
Yeah.
She might even not think badly of bigger girls, but we take it that way.
I'm like, you just broke me.
Oh.
And my manager's like, hey, you should go on lunch break. And I'm like, don't say that to me. I'm like, how dare you? You
well,
think
now you're
I
being
eat?
too sensitive.
Oh, 100%. And I never went back. I never went back. I went back.
So you went on lunch break and you left?
Yep. I texted her. I was like, I can't. I'm
wow.
so sorry. Because that wasn't like the first comment that was ever made about my body working there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I worked in fashion for many years, and it is very much a body-centric world.
Yeah, as I was like just starting to like actually feed myself food, I was like, you know what? Maybe I should go into something else.
Yeah, not a good place for you.
Yeah, and plus like I didn't have a lot of clothes. I had like the clothes I went to treatment with, so it's like I couldn't even put together outfits I feel comfortable in.
Right.
I had my skimpy clothes and my baggy clothes.
Right.
And I went back to my halfway. I never went to AA meetings. I got kicked out of my halfway after a month, I should say, for forging my meeting sheet, which is actually really embarrassing because I put on the sheet that I went to this like women's meeting, but then I signed it with like the name Tim.
Oh my God.
I'm a horrible criminal. Every therapist in my life has told me I am a horrible criminal.
Yeah,
and I
can't.
am.
Tim.
I'm so bad. So I went to another halfway my parents picked, very structured, insanely.
Okay.
But
was that good for you? Was it what you needed?
Goodness.
Yeah,
Thank
okay,
goodness.
good.
I met my best friend Cynthia. Cynthia, I love her. She's perfect. And I was there for a couple of months. I got kicked out of the treatment center, so I did an IOP program at a different treatment center. And I just finished that when I moved to the other halfway house, and my parents were so proud of me. I got rewarded with a car. So I was like, oh my gosh, everything's great. I have friends, I have a car. But there's something inside me where I was just like, I'm still like discontent with my life. I did not do the steps at this time. I had a sponsor, kind of.
So in 12-step recovery programs, you're supposed to do the steps in order to get the relief they say you need and for it to really work. And I'm a big fan of the steps in whichever 12-step program you choose. Mm-hmm. But so did you do them?
I did the steps. I did them a lot. And at this time, I also had a case manager, 40 hours a week. She's the best. I still have her. I saw her today. And she really got me through some tough times. She really saw my character development skyrocket. I got in trouble at my halfway all the time. And there was this time Cynthia knew about what I was doing. She didn't come forward with it, and we both got our cars taken away.
What were you doing?
I left property. Okay, so we had to like sign in when we were going to be in for the night. And I left property for about 50 feet off property for about like 8 minutes. And they found out, and I didn't check back in to the halfway house because it was still before my curfew.
Right.
But I did check in before that, so I was in the wrong.
Yeah.
And we got our cars taken away.
Okay.
And we would like go to work because we both worked in like West Boca. She was a dog groomer. I was a leasing agent. And we would be on our little moped trying to get to work.
I hope you wore a helmet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It hurts me
I
so much.
failed you, Irene.
Yeah, you have. I forgive you.
Cynthia moved out of the halfway house into a 3/4 house. I moved in right after her, which is where I'm still living. I love it.
Good.
And I thought everything was so great. I got laid off from my job because they sold the property. So I was like, I'm unemployed, woohoo! Like, let's go out on the town.
Not the usual reaction.
Yeah, right? You would think, but I'm like, I don't have to wake up early.
Yeah.
Which now I love waking up early. I thought my life was going well. It wasn't. I got to go home for the holidays that year, which was so amazing. I mean, it was amazing because nothing catastrophic happened.
Which is the best.
Exactly. I was not stealing all the wine at dinner. So I was like, oh, you guys are welcome. Are you kidding? I had a boyfriend at the time. Tyler, I love you.
Okay.
On our first date, like, I had about 9 months, a year when we went on our first date. And we're sitting at dinner and I'm like, how much time do you have? Because I was trying to follow the rules. I was like, we can be official when I get a year. Because they say you shouldn't get into relationships your first year in sobriety. But I'm like, once I get my year, boyfriend.
Yeah.
And
it took me 5 years.
Yep. At dinner, I was like, how much time do you have? He's like, well, I should have 6 months. I'm like, should have. What do you mean, should have? He's like, well, I have 13 days. Irene, I was like, get me some green paint. We're going to paint over this red flag. We're good. We're fine.
Oh my God.
I love him. I'm at home for the holidays.
I remember painting over red flags.
Oh, yeah.
I love the way you just said that. I never thought of it that way, but that's the best. Yeah. Now I know.
I'm colorblind. It's okay.
Yeah. All right.
And December 22nd, he passed away from an overdose.
I'm so sorry.
He was an amazing guy, but unfortunately the disease gets to you.
Yeah.
I come back home for the holidays. Cynthia was also friends with him.
You come back from home.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, from Michigan.
So he overdosed and passed away while you were away at home.
Yes, I found out the day after. So the 23rd. So I was distraught, but I was like, okay, let's numb the pain. We're fine. And I come back home. I'm talking to Cynthia. Cynthia has a girlfriend at this time.
How did you numb the pain? Just you just pushed it down to the deep, dark depths of your stomach?
All of my trauma, I'm just kind of doesn't exist.
Oh, right, okay.
It just doesn't exist to me.
That's a way to do it.
Yeah. When I think of my trauma, there's a lot to unpack with the escorting, the sexual assaults, so many. And I just thought, I was like, I'm sober now. That didn't happen to me. That happened to Kira, an active addiction, but not me.
Right.
Which then, when I told a therapist that...
But this is grief and loss. It's totally different from,
Yes.
Not that anything... Feeling the trauma is feeling the trauma. It doesn't matter what it comes from. I mean... But so you don't want to deal with it.
No, I just kind of pushed it aside.
Okay.
So I was like, I'm with my family. I don't want to ruin it for them again. So I was like, I'll deal with this in a few days. I called some of my friends and we're like, oh, this is so sad. I cried a little bit, but I was like, okay, back to whatever. I get back to Florida, my new home. I love you guys. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking to Cynthia. She's going through a breakup, and she called me one morning. She's like, I used a substance and she wants to go back into IOP. I was like, okay, let's do this, girl.
Yeah.
I was like, we got you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was like, I love you for this. She's so awesome.
Yeah.
And I check her location.
You don't have to go over the rails to come right back in, right?
Exactly.
Awesome.
And I check her location. And I was like, she's in a sketchy part of Florida. I don't know why she would be in this part of Florida. And she comes back home and I was like, Cynthia, I love you to death. Give me your bag. Give me your purse. And she's like, oh, I have to go into detox before I go into IOP, but they can't get me into detox until Monday. And I'm like, what treatment center is making you wait?
Yeah.
To get into detox.
No one's making you wait to get into detox. Is like right here, right now. Please enter. We have a spot for you.
Exactly.
Or if we don't have a spot for you, we'll drive you to the next one.
100%. But in my mind, like, I wasn't making the connection, and I was just kind of like, what's in your bag? Why were you in that part of Florida? Because she pointed out that part of Florida. She's like, this is where you can get whatever you want. And I search her bags, I search her car, whatever. She had this amazing car. It was like mustard yellow Jeep. It was so funny. I loved it.
You know I love a Jeep.
Oh, yes. And she's like, hey, I really just want to take a nap, get my mind off the breakup. And I'm like, okay, for sure. And I was like, okay, please leave your phone on. I'm going to check in on you. I searched her whole room. Didn't find anything. Did you search
her bag?
Yes.
Did you find anything?
Yes. There was nothing there. So I was like, okay, you can take a nap, but I'm going to check in on you. So leave your door open. I check in on her, her sleepy music's playing. So I'm like, okay. I had to meet with my case manager that day. So I check on her. Cool. She's good. She's sleeping. Go to my case manager. I come back home. The door's locked. So I'm like, okay. I know she gets a little paranoid some days, so I'm like, I try calling her phone, it's going to voicemail, so I'm like, okay, maybe she really is taking a nap. About an hour later, I was like walking past the house, and there's this little window where we used to like peek in and like knock to like kind of scare each other and be like, hey.
Yeah.
And the blinds were open a little bit, and I just see her in a really weird position, and I just had this gut feeling in my stomach, and we have this like key box in our house. And it's locked, so I like take a butter knife, I like open the key box because her door's locked. There was like 30 keys in there.
Oh my God, it would have been easier to break the window.
And of course, it was like the second to last key I used was the key.
Of course.
And she passed away from a fentanyl overdose. I tried Narcaning, CPR, all of it.
This disease is so insidious.
It kills me to think about.
Yeah.
I was hours too late. But she is such a kind soul. When Cynthia's that person that, like, she's there for anyone. If you're on the side of the road, she's like, get in the car, let me take you to detox.
Right.
And they're like, no, I don't do drugs. She's like, nope, you're going to detox.
I'm so sorry for your loss. So in sobriety, you've really had some like trials and tribulations in terms of losing people you loved. And I'm hoping you haven't still pushed it aside and you've kind of...
I did EMDR.
I've done EMDR too. I'm a huge fan of EMDR, even though it stirs up Pandora's box. It's amazing to get through. So you're in a better place.
Yes.
So how has it been since then? Tell me what it looks like today for you, you know?
When I experienced death like that, I was like, okay, we gotta get to it. So I did the steps again with my amazing sponsor. She was so hard on me and I needed it. I was in an outpatient program where I like do a group therapy once a week. I got out of that. I started sponsoring. I became alumni president for my treatment center with Ryan.
Yeah.
And I've never been happier. Once I started doing things that I like to do, and I don't think about sobriety.
Well, because you have found...
Let me rephrase.
You're living sobriety. Yes. You're not... But you know, you're helping other people.
Of course, and
that's like a purpose, right?
I think that's what I love to do.
Yeah, me too.
Helping others.
That's why we're here.
Being able to relate to people is like that warm, fuzzy feeling.
Yeah.
When you like take your first shot of alcohol, you know?
Similar, but better.
Exactly.
My first shot of alcohol wasn't very good. Yeah. But helping people, on the other hand, feels great. And it also gives us a sense of purpose. I say us because I know you help a lot of women. And it gives us a sense of purpose. So that feeling of like, maybe I should end things, or maybe, things don't look good today. Maybe I should use it, goes away. Because you're focusing on helping them rather than living in your head where, you know, sometimes the crazy thoughts lie. Like, even when you're sober, they come back to haunt you, and then you have to be like, no, not today.
I have thoughts all the time, and I'm like, that was weird. Why did I think that?
Yeah, and it's so funny. Someone else came and did Crosstalk and said, that's weird, whatever. You know, and it's true. Sometimes you can't explain it. We're human beings. The thoughts come back. It's not acting on them, right?
Of course.
And just being a different person.
It's all about, like, that character development of, like, when people ask, like, who do you want to be, like, what do you want to do? I'm like, I just want to be, like, a person anyone can turn to get a hug, to get some advice.
I love that.
To feel loved and accepted. Because that's all I wanted.
Yeah.
In life, is just to be accepted. And
I love that.
After, like, everything, I got into, like, an actual healthy relationship.
No way.
No way.
Who knew that happens?
I didn't know they existed.
I know, me neither, until I have one, and it's so incredible, right? To be in a healthy relationship.
Definitely. And, like, when I'm in this, I'm like, this is, like, my first sober, healthy relationship. I think this is, like, my first love, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
Because, like, okay, yeah, like, my first boyfriend, horribly abusive, horrible relationship. And I'm like...
Well, you weren't exactly healthy either.
No.
Right.
No, I was definitely not the full victim in that relationship.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I love you, please don't hit me, type of thing. Like,
right.
I didn't know what love was.
Right.
And
also we're under the influence, right? So,
of course.
So things change. We act differently. We may do things that whatever. But the point is, it's not okay to abuse someone no matter what. And thank God, I'm so happy you're not in that type of relationship again, or in one now.
Yeah.
I hope you're never in one again. And you sound so happy, you know. And when I see you, I see it. It's not like it's a superficial. You know, you're not sweet like saccharin. It's like real. Like when I first met you, you were sweet like saccharin. You got into my car and you were like, "Hi, so nice to meet you." I was like,
Get out.
No, more like, come in. Let me show you how to live.
When I say, like, healthy relationship, I'm, like, therapist approved. Like, that was insane to ever get approved from a therapist, that I'm, like, in a relationship. Oh my gosh. I love him so much. He's definitely the best person I've ever met, because
so what does your relationship look like?
I would go through these, like, diagnoses and, like, everything, and he's just like, okay, great, do you want any support? I'm like, what do you mean? He bought me flowers one time, and I'm like, what'd you do? I'm like, did you cheat on me? I used to be so insecure and so afraid that, like, I'm not worthy of love.
Yeah.
He's always kind, and the biggest part of our relationship is communication. Like, God honest communication of, like, he can come in my room and be like, I am having a horrible day. Can you scratch my back? And I'm like, yes.
Right.
Like, oh my gosh, because it's just communicating, like, your wants, your needs, your desires.
And where you're at, right?
Yeah.
So the same thing in my relationship, I try to turn around and be like, I am, like, depleted. I'm at 30%. Like, I need you to step it up and show up for me right now. And he does, and it's incredible. And you know, I think that is a sign of a very healthy relationship.
Definitely.
I'm happy you found that.
Thank you. I'm happy you have that.
I know. Well, this is what happens when you get healthy and your life isn't drama filled and chaos filled, and you know, and you do the work on yourself, right? Until I did the work on myself, I really couldn't be with someone else and be there for someone else. I had a couple of dates and relationships and things in sobriety, but none of it felt right. I was still not who I am today. And then I did that EMDR work, and I did some trauma work and all this stuff that I didn't even know to look at when I was first getting sober, because it kind of popped up later. And like around the 4 years sober, all of a sudden I'm like, what's going on? And I was experiencing, you know, basically a trauma response, right, from my past. And I had to explore that with EMDR. So it's the work we do on ourselves that gets us to a place.
Definitely, because I'm a very codependent person. So I had to dive deep into all of that to figure it out. And the biggest thing about a relationship that, especially that I'm in, is like, it's 100%. On days we give 50-50. If he's having a bad day, I'll give 80, you give 20.
Right.
Type of thing. And vice versa.
I love that. I love that.
And it's all just like communicating. Like
It really is all about communication, like pre-yelling, pre-flipping out, pre-getting upset.
Never argued, never like fought. We just have conversations of like, hey, this bothered me. Yeah. This hurt my feelings. Instead of like case building, like, December 3rd, you said this.
Well, what's so cool is that you're 22.
Yes.
You know, I'm 41.
You don't look it.
Oh, thank you. But the point is that how lucky that you have done this work and really become who you are. And you're still going to grow and change and adapt, and, you know, it's going to ebb and flow, and that's what's so cool about it. And the fact that you have these like healthier coping mechanisms and that you have a support system is awesome. And I hope that other people watching can see that, you know, you need to be vulnerable with other people in order to get the support you need. You need to ask for help. These are the toughest things, but they're what, you know, or cry for help, you know?
I think I don't even want to say that like I was a defiant person. I think I was just a big, like, walking cry for help.
You were. And I was too. Yeah. And, you know, my parents were in well, my dad wasn't, but my mother was in deep denial. And so when my intervention finally came about, I watched her eyes actually open up and see me for the first time in about 10 years or so. And she just looked at me like, oh my God, this is my daughter, you know? So it's so cool that we've gotten to these places, and I'm so happy you're here, and thank you for coming.
I'm so proud of us.
But me too. So I want to ask you something. If you could go back in time and you can ask yourself, your younger self, you know, I know you're young, so choose the age that most speaks to you and tell yourself, give yourself some advice. Because I don't know if you regret anything or you are happy everything happened the way it did and you're here now like this, but if you could express something to that younger girl, what would it be? And what age? What age and what would it be?
It's a great question. It would be 13.
Okay.
And I would tell her that it's okay to not know what you want to do, to not know who you are and who you want to be, that you don't have to do what everyone else is doing, and you don't have to play the sports or do the clubs or get good grades. Well, no, stay in school, get good grades. However.
Right. But you would tell that to yourself because you were so hard on yourself about those things.
Of course. I just wanted to fit in.
Right.
And there's no such thing as fitting in.
Right. We're all different.
If you like to do karate or if you like to do ballet dance, like, there's a community of people for every type of, like, hobby. Like, I love to do pottery.
That's awesome.
I think it's fun. Like, you mess up, you get to smash it. Because every emotion I have ever felt either makes me want to give someone a hug or punch a hole in the wall. Every single emotion.
I can relate.
Yeah. And I think that's so cool that, like, people are like, oh, I have nothing in common with this person. And I'm like, anger and love both make me want to punch a hole in the wall. And that's a common thread among two very opposite feelings.
Yeah.
So what I would tell 13-year-old me is, don't take your dad's car. Don't steal it. That was very wrong of you.
Very specific.
I did do that. It was really bad. It was really bad. the cops had to drive me home. I'm still very sorry. It's okay to be weird, to not be normal. There is no normal. And fear is okay. Love is okay. And emotions are the best thing you can experience.
I love that. I love that. And I think, yes, in sobriety, I love that I could feel all the emotions, even when they're sad, even when there's anger, you know, I still feel something.
I love sad emotions. I really do.
On that note, should we have a hug?
Yes, please.
Thank you so much for coming. You're amazing. Such a huge...
I love you so much.
Amazing. You're amazing. I love you too. All right, that's it.